Shabbat Shalom, Israel. We are back, and we're going to talk a little bit about getting in sync with the Creator. Our Creator is super organized, and He has created this universe, this world in order, and He has made distinctions. He separated the light from the darkness. He separated the waters from the lands, and He has called His people to be set apart from the world. And He's given us reminders and signs to help us better keep yoked up with Him and to follow His words on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on an annual basis. And I wanted to cover some of these just real quickly so you can, hopefully, this will be helpful to get in sync with Him if you're not already doing this. Now, we're instructed to wear tzitzit, or fringes on the corners of our garments with a cord of blue. And this is supposed to remind us to keep His commandments. And as we're wearing these on a daily basis, and we see these, it should remind us, hey, we represent Him wherever we go, and His ways. So we need to do accordingly. And I would just like to read real quick in the book of Numbers, chapter 15, verses 37 through 31, the following. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, Make tzitzit on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, and you shall see it, and shall remember all the commands of Yahuwah, and shall do them, and shall not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went whoring, and so that you remember and shall do all my commands, and be set apart unto your Elohim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, to be your Elohim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim." So we see that Yahuwah has given His people a visible sign where they can, as a reminder to keep His commandments. And actually, right before this event, someone had violated the Sabbath, and so He basically was almost giving them a reminder to keep the commandments, something visible they could actually see. And this is kind of a daily reminder. Now, we also have a weekly reminder. Today's the Sabbath, and after 6 days of work, the seventh day, we rest. We just rest on Him and His words. And this is kind of interesting because a lot of people think that, it doesn't really matter what day you worship. They think it's about worship, when in reality, we're supposed to be worshiping Him every single day. So the Sabbath isn't necessarily about worship so much as it is physically resting. When we read that fourth commandment, you can get all the insight. Even animals were required to rest as well. But I would like to read about how the Sabbath is also a visible sign and a reminder every single week that we are in covenant with Him. In the book of Exodus, let me turn there here real quick, in chapter 31, it is written in verse 16 and 17, "And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, as an everlasting covenant. Between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever. For 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day He rested and was refreshed." So we see that the Sabbath is the sign is a sign forever, for one, and it is basically an everlasting covenant. The Sabbath is an everlasting covenant, and is a sign forever for the children of Israel. So this is really important, that every week when we keep the Sabbath, we are acknowledging that Yah is the Creator and that we are His people by resting and putting our trust in Him. While the world is working non-stop all the time, we stop, we pause, we put our trust in Him and realize that our provisions come from Him. Now this is another huge thing that we do every single week. It reminds us to keep His commandments. Now, we also see every month there are new moons, a great time to celebrate Him, and it's a foreshadowing of things to come, as we read in Colossians 2. And it's a hope of renewal. Every time that new moon appears, it's kind of renewing its light. And we also have another sign that's mentioned earlier in Scripture in the story of Noah after the flood, that Yah gave a sign, a light sign, an arc of light, also known as a rainbow, that would be a sign that he would not destroy the earth again by flood. It was a sign between Noah, Yahuwah, and all creation. And we also see every month we have another light sign where there is the new moon, the renewal of light, an arc of light at the beginning. So these things are all seen, is my point. You can see the tzitzits, we can observe the Sabbath, we can see it after the end of 6 days of work. On the seventh day is the Sabbath, we rest. We can see the new moon, we can see a rainbow, obviously, and even beyond the monthly celebrations of the new moon, we also have annual celebrations. And this is kind of important to understand because Yah is the Elohim of celebrating and recognizing things. And within his Moedim, his appointed times, so that we read in Leviticus 23, it really maps out the good news of Yahushua Messiah, starting with Passover, going through unleavened bread, first fruits, Day of Trumpets, Day of Atonements, Tabernacles, also known as Sukkot, and the 8th day, Shemini Atzeret. All these Moedim, these annual cycles, really give us more insight about Him and His ways. So if you're new to Torah, or you're starting to read His Word, you're being yoked up with Messiah, it's really important to get in sync with Him on a daily basis, remembering to keep His commandments, whether through the tzitzit, on a weekly basis, a reminder of the Sabbath, a reminder to keep the commandments on a monthly cycle. Every month when we celebrate the new moon, it shows us that He is a Elohim of restoration, and reminds us to keep His commandments. And throughout the annual cycle of all the Moedim, His appointed times, it teaches us the good news. So if you haven't already got in sync with the Creator, I pray that you would press in and follow His ways and His commandments. Shalom.